Hello everyone. Thank you for watching this video. In this video, I would like to introduce the history and culture of Ginkakuji. In order to help you enjoy this famous tourist attraction in Kyoto. If you are planning a trip to Kyoto, please take a look at this video. With its serene beauty and historical importance, Ginkakuji is a must-see for anyone interested in Japan. In this article, we will explore the charms of this temple. In the ancient capital of Kyoto, Ginkakuji, officially called Jishoji Temple, dates back to the Muromachi period 1336 to 1573. It was founded by Ashikaga Yoshimasa, the 8th shogun of the Muromachi shogunate. As a center of the era when culture and art flourished, Yoshimasa envisioned Ginkakuji as his own retreat. Following the Ginkakuji built by his grandfather Ashikaga Yoshimitsu, construction of Ginkakuji began in 1482 AD, and was completed in 1490, after Yoshimasa's death. As its name suggests, the original plan was to cover Ginkakuji with silver leaf. But this was not possible for economic reasons, and the wooden structure seen today remains. This fact tells an interesting story about the history of this temple, and the origin of its name. The architectural style of the temple is a unique fusion of different styles. The first floor is a Muromachi period residential style called Shoin-zukuri, while the second floor is a Zen temple. This architectural group is considered one of the most remarkable in the history of Japanese architecture. The most striking feature of Ginkakuji is its beautiful garden, which is simple yet refined. The garden consists of a dry landscape garden and a moss garden, both of which are typical of Japanese gardens reflecting the spirit of Zen. In particular, the ripples created by the white sand, called jinshidan in the dry landscape garden, give visitors a sense of peace and tranquility. The most eye-catching feature of this garden, which expresses the wabi-sabi aesthetic, is the 2-meter-high tsukimidai. A typical element of Japanese gardens. It is a typical element of Japanese gardens, symbolizing tranquility and harmony with nature. Now, when visiting Ginkakuji, one should not only think about its architecture and gardens, but also about the historical and cultural significance behind them. Here, where Ashikaga Yoshimasa's passion for art and the spirit of Muromachi culture live on, one can experience the essence of Japanese tradition and beauty. Let me also introduce you to another attraction of Ginkakuji: its breathtakingly beautiful garden. The garden at Ginkakuji is a typical Japanese garden in harmony with nature. The garden is divided into two parts: the moss garden, a serene garden covered with moss, and the sand garden, a karazansui dry landscape garden with sand and rock formations. The moss garden is lush and serene, offering visitors a moment of peace and tranquility. The moss garden represents a river, and the ground covered with green moss symbolizes the flow of the river. The babbling brook running through the garden and the surrounding stones and trees further accentuate the tranquility. The sand garden, on the other hand, is a fine example of a Japanese dry landscape garden. At the center of this garden is the previously mentioned jinshinada, a sea of sand with carefully laid ripples on it. A few stones placed within it represent islands and mountains, creating a landscape reminiscent of a quiet sea. Of special note is a 2-meter-high cone of sand, called tsukimidai, moon viewing platform in this sand garden. This cone is a symbolic element of Japanese gardens, and is exceptionally beautiful when illuminated by moonlight. According to one theory, it symbolizes Mount Fuji and the full moon over the lake. As you walk through the garden, I hope you will enjoy the beauty of the scenery. In each of the 4 seasons, cherry blossoms in spring and autumn leaves in fall, bring an otherworldly beauty to the garden. From this garden, too, one can feel the changing of the seasons, the spirit of coexistence with nature, and the deep aesthetic sense of Japanese culture. The garden at Ginkakuji is not just something to look at, but a work of art that blends Japanese nature, culture, and history. A visit to this garden will allow you to experience the essence of a Japanese garden, and calm your mind in tranquility and beauty. After visiting Ginkakuji in Kyoto and enjoying its beautiful garden and historical architecture, we hope you will also enjoy experiencing one of Japan's traditional cultural traditions, the tea ceremony. The tea ceremony is more than just the act of drinking tea. It is a cultural ritual with its own unique aesthetics and deep spirituality. And each action is imbued with meaning. The tea ceremony began in the Muromachi period 1333 to 1573 and spread to samurai, Buddhist monks, and the general public. This ritual is more than just serving tea. It teaches us to calm our minds and focus on the present moment. Near Ginkakuji are traditional tea houses, where visitors can actually experience the tea ceremony. For example, the Genin tea room begins with a brief introduction to the history and philosophy of the tea ceremony, and offers visitors the opportunity to actually make their own tea. In the tea ceremony experience, visitors sit in a tokonoma alcove and follow the instructions of a tea ceremony instructor, learning the procedure for preparing tea and the etiquette for receiving tea. Through this experience, you will be able to glimpse a part of Japanese traditional culture. When you visit Ginkakuji and the surrounding area, we hope you will experience the deep cultural background of Japan. Through this kind of tea ceremony experience, a moment in a quiet tea room will provide you with an opportunity to gain a deeper understanding of Japanese culture and spirituality. Finally, I would like you to become acquainted with the wabi-sabi aesthetic. Wabi-sabi embodies a uniquely Japanese sense of beauty. Wabi-sabi refers to a simple, plain, yet deeply atmospheric beauty. This aesthetic is deeply rooted in Japanese culture and Zen Buddhism, and is beautifully expressed in the architecture and gardens of Ginkakuji. The Ginkakuji building itself is a symbol of wabi-sabi, originally intended to be covered with silver leaf. The building was completed as a wooden structure for economic reasons. However, this unfinished state enhances the charm of the building, which stands out for its simplicity and beauty. Wabi-sabi is a concept that sees imperfection and fragility as more beautiful than perfection. Traditional Japanese tea bowls and ceramics reflect this aesthetic, with cracks and chips that give them character and history. The garden at Ginkakuji also evokes the wabi-sabi spirit. The garden is characterized by a simple composition that takes advantage of the beauty of nature. With no gaudy colors or decorations, the stones, moss, and flowing water are left in their natural state, creating a sense of serenity and harmony. Even today, this wabi-sabi aesthetic is carried on in many fields. This simple, refined beauty can be seen in contemporary architecture, design, and art. It has also greatly influenced Japanese lifestyle and philosophy, and is still embraced by many people today for its emphasis on the essential nature of things. This aesthetic is not just about having fewer things, but rather emphasizing essential beauty and function, and stripping away the superfluous to create a sense of deep richness and serenity. When you visit Ginkakuji, ponder this wabi-sabi aesthetic. You will sense the deep meaning and beauty hidden in its simplicity. If you are interested in Japanese culture, I will be happy to hear from you. Please like and subscribe to my channel.